With close to 100 star systems in the verse, it's hard to believe that humanity has come across only 6 living sentient races in our journey through the stars. During this time, however, the UEE have identified a number of systems that may bear home to sentient or potentially sentient life. Many of the species within are still in their prime, and as such have not yet achieved spaceflight. Following the massacre of Garen in 2792, in a bid to act as stewards and protectors to these developing species, the UEE, through the Fair Chance Act, has designated such systems as developing. This status grants these systems several protections and to allow them to grow without outside interference. Contact with the system's inhabitants, along with terraforming and mining of any kind, is prohibited until they reach the point of space travel. It is only then that they can be officially contacted. To date, there are a number of species the UEE are keeping a close eye on, some of whom we know more about than others. Etos, or Osiris-1, is located within the Osiris system. On Etos, you will find no forests or wilderness. In its place, you will see an extensive, miles-deep cave system. Here, a variety of life forms have taken hold, ranging from spiny crustaceans to a species best described in one researcher's journal as a flopping pancake. The biggest reason that the Osiris system was the first system declared to be developing under the Fair Chance Act was due to another species within Etos' underground, the Fari's ape, a vaguely human-like primate that biologists believe has the potential to develop higher thinking. Described as having a natural sad face and a seemingly gentle nature, the Fari's ape has quickly become the iconic image of the Etosian preservation movement. After being recovered from a smuggler's hold, a small group of Fari's ape were deemed too injured to be returned to the planet, and so have affectionately made their home on Etos, aboard observation station Kobold. Whilst this has allowed them to be nursed back to health, it has also given researchers much needed time and contact to study this majestic species. Etos is not the only area within the verse where you can find human-like primates protected by the Fair Chance Act. Within the Kellogg system, you can find Zeiss, a planet with a biodiversity that rivals anywhere in the galaxy. Within Zeiss, you can find warm seas home to 10-foot crab monsters and deep, multi-canopied jungles. It's within the northern polar region of Zeiss that you can find another primate-like species, Aums. Study of the Aum is restricted to observational research only under the Fair Chance Act, and visiting Zeiss is strictly forbidden. This makes our knowledge of the species and its capabilities somewhat limited. What is known is that over the past 300 years, the Aum have begun to develop more complex social interaction and extremely primitive Stone Age tool use. They are now capable of hunting and building shelter, and whilst their culture is of interest to scientists, xenoanthropologists estimate that the species have a long way to go to achieve much of any value. They are not known to produce anything that would provide meaningful value when traded, and they, themselves, are not civilized enough for use as labour. It is estimated that it will be 10 or more millennia before they are even capable of spaceflight. In 2861, the discovery of the Osso system led to the protection of the most developed primitive species ever encountered by the UEE. On the planet of Osso 2, within the lush biosphere that hosts a variety of distinct regions and climates, a less human-like species can be found. Known as Ahsoyans, this multi-limbed race actively communicates with one another using patterned flashes of colour generated by head-mounted chameleon cells. They are a tribal society, still in an early stage of development, having discovered tools and weapons and created villages with freestanding dwellings. Direct study of the Ahsoyans is technically a violation of the Fair Chance Act. However, some scientists have been able to receive permission from the UE to establish off-world research platforms in an attempt to study the species from a distance. The scientific community is also putting increasing pressure on UE officials for the chance to communicate with this emerging life form. Another consideration for the UE is whether the Fair Chance Act's strict non-intervention policy should be amended. Over in the Genesis system, and specifically within one of its planets, Genesis 2, a cephalopod-like ocean creature has begun to explore the planet's landmasses, sparking violent confrontations with the dominant land-based avian reptoid species. Genesis is a terrestrial world featuring continents interspersed with oceans. There are known to be a number of sentient species within this landscape, and some scientists and academics are questioning the morality of permitting an interspecies war to occur. Their fears are that without intervention, which is currently prohibited in all circumstances under the Fair Chance Act, the annihilation of one or more species within the Genesis system could occur. We were too late to prevent the extinction of the Hadesians. Could this be our chance to stop the history of the verse from repeating itself? One example of the Fair Chance Act preserving life can be seen within the Kano system. Cartagena, or Kano 2, is an ocean planet that for centuries has seen geoengineers attempt to terraform. In 2902, when microscopic organisms were discovered deep in the water, Cartagena was placed under the Fair Chance Act. Seeking to protect the indigenous life form, the planet's inhabitants were consolidated into a single arcology, and terraforming attempts outlawed. Any previously existing planetary settlements have been allowed to remain, but are strictly regulated. Alongside those species who are yet to fully develop, there is also pause for thought for those we will not get the chance to encounter, either through our own greed and destruction or through unknown causes. When the Banu settled on Kins 2, they discovered the ruins of a lost civilization. Similarly, and much closer to what some would call home on Terra, there are the remains of a lost quasi-civilization. Let's not also forget the unknown but now extinct species on Garan 2. Thank you very much for watching. In this series, we are covering the history of the alien races in Star Citizen and humanity's encounters with them. We've touched upon some historic events that happened in our history here. However, if you would like to know more about these events and more about our long and storied history inside the verse, then please consider checking out the Time Capsule series, where this is covered in much more detail. All the links to everything I talk about in this video will be linked in the video description. Thank you again, and I hope to see you in the verse.